To who?
No, introduction. When you are talking. No, this is a ministry. And now I'll introduce it in any public. This is the ministry officials from labor and transport. Yeah. We don't have here the protagonists. Everybody will be ready at the same time.
Some of us are ready.
You're ready, yeah?
We just want to accommodate you.
Okay. Or one media. I leave 9 in the morning. You people leave at what time? 6 in the morning. Or will they fix to Lodo? You're doing it in Lodo? Yes. That's okay. I'm going to Marsabit town to license. Okay. It's outside Marsabit. Yeah. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen of the media, for waiting patiently for the last 5 hours. The team before you here is CS Labor and the staff from Ministry of Labor and staff from this Ministry of Transport and Roads and Transport. We have had a 5-hour consultation to try to find a solution to the issues affecting the Kenya Airways. We started at 2:30 p.m. and we have had very, very good and deep, broad, and passionate consultations on issues that are affecting Kenya Airways, and particularly the demands of the pilots through their trade union. And we made very good progress, even though you don't see the CALPA here, the organization that is in charge of the Pilots Association, and you don't also see the management of the Kenya Airways. I want to report that we have had very, very good consultations that touch on the various concerns related to the welfare of the pilots. The pilots were here and they met their demands related to their welfare, disciplinary issues, and also raised issues about management of the organization, including the welfare, the well-being, the financial well-being of the company. We have agreed in principle that we must find a mechanism for further consultation through a smaller committee. You know, this is a labor relations issue, so it's the Ministry of Labor, led by my colleague, Honorable CS Florence Bore. The PS is here. PS, Mr. Toom is here, plus the staff of the Ministry of Labor. The commissioner is here, and the other staff who are responsible for managing these issues. My responsibility here was related to the responsibilities this ministry has towards matters transport and the Kenya Airways. And from now henceforth, this issue is going to be discussed by my colleague and the team. The management have expressed their willingness to consider the demands of the pilots, and to the extent that is possible in law and in the operation and the resources that are within the agency, within the company. On the other hand, the pilots also have expressed their willingness to engage in very open discussions on how to find solutions related to their issues. And at the end of the 5 hours, the pilots have requested to do further consultation with their colleagues. We have requested them to call off the strike. As you know, that there is a strike notice which will be effective tomorrow 6 a.m. Already the impact of that decision has already impacted the industry, and there are many stranded passengers who are traveling from other parts of the country and the world. And there is anxiety among passengers and travelers who are using Kenya Airways. We have requested the pilots to be considerate, considering that there is an existing court order that that in effect suspended the strike and invalidated the strike. There is a mention on that matter on Tuesday next week on 8th. So we have requested the pilots to put into consideration the willingness of the management to engage in consultation and the existing court order and call off the strike. But the pilots have said through their trade union that they need further consultation with their colleagues, and have promised to give their final position, to put greater consideration to our request and give their position known publicly in the next 2 hours, so that by 9 p.m. tonight we should know the final position of the pilots. We continue requesting them and urging them to give utmost consideration the economic situation prevailing in the country, the status of the company, the revitalization process that is going on to revive the financial status of KQ to be what it used to be the true pride of Africa, and that the strike will severely impact that very important process. So we have made that request to them, and we continue making that request that in the next 2 hours, as they make their decision, they put that into consideration. The committee, the meeting decided that a smaller committee will be chaired by PS2, even when the parties now agree within those 2 hours, and that the issues being raised will be discussed and determined in the shortest time possible to make sure that we go back to business. So with those many remarks, I'd like to now give this opportunity to my colleague, who is actually properly in charge of this matter from a labor relations perspective, to also make a remark.
Thank you. Let me thank my colleague, C.S. Murkomen, the staff from the ministry, the staff from Labor and Ministry of Infrastructure. We've had fruitful discussions from 2:30. We've had the two parties, the Union for Pilots, we've had from Kenya Airways Management, and as my colleague has said, we have given them room to consult and get back to us. We are going to continue with the process. I'm sure in the next 2 hours, they'll give us a feedback. Those issues that can be sorted now will be sorted. The issues that need to be discussed furthermore, we will have PS Engineer 2 sitting down with them for the next maybe 1 week, and a solution will be arrived at. We know Kenya Airways provide essential services to Kenyans, and we would really not want this situation to go to a very bad situation where people will not be able to travel flights to be cancelled. But as Labour, we will provide the environment for the two parties to discuss, to dialogue, and arrive at solutions. We look forward to their feedback, and then we get back to the public to tell them what has been arrived at. Thank you.
Unless there is any
Question?
yes.
Hi, my name is Charles from BBC. Could you tell us why it's taken so long for this discussion to happen, to the point that you have passengers not knowing if they'll travel tomorrow? Secondly, the government of Kenya is a shareholder at KTU, the largest. What solution are you going to take?
Thank you very much. Why has it taken too long? Well, we already had a conversation that was going on from the Ministry of Labour for the longest. Remember, this is a new government. We've just come to office. My colleague and I are a week old. Actually, to be very precise, we came to office just a week ago. And it's only this week that we've come to practically operate from our offices. But we've insisted of this matter. We've discussed it. I think the outgoing administration had also done their best. I think the question you should ask is, why are the pilots striking at the beginning of our administration? Yeah, that is the question we also posed to them. Of course, they told us it's a coincidence. Yeah. So we've been pleading with them that since there is a new administration in office, we need to give time to make sure that they can address the issues. That those are not issues that just came up. They have been there for the last 5 years and beyond. More than 10 years, actually. The challenges bedeviling Kenya Airways have been there since 2012. So, since Project Mawingu. And so it's not something that just happened. We've been requesting them to understand that we have a plan, and as you've asked, we have a very serious plan. The President has a very serious plan for revitalization and reforming and re-energizing Kenya Airways. That plan is in advanced stage. Consultations are ongoing. This ministry and the Ministry of Finance is also responsible on the matters related to revitalization of that sector. As a major shareholder, you know that Kenya Airways has been beneficiary of bailout by the people of Kenya, and a lot of resources which would have been put to another sector of the economy have been pumped into the Kenya Airways. So we take it very seriously that Kenya Airways must, because it's strategic, like my colleague has said, this is a strategic sector, and Kenya Airways is a strategic company, and it has a very big impact in the economy. Unfortunately, I did not, if you ask the two of us why we didn't think anything was going to happen, it's because there is a court order. And we believe that our friends will obey the court order for at least up to Tuesday. And then we see what the court is going to decide that Tuesday. So we hope that that issue will be put into consideration as they make their decision in the next 2 hours, so that they appreciate. Even then, still disruption will have occurred, but we want to minimize the disruption, the level of that disruption. And in terms of the long-term reforms of the Kenya Airways, a blueprint is being worked out, and this ministry and the Ministry of Finance, and more important, the President himself and the Presidency will make a public pronouncement on the way forward insofar as Kenya Airways is concerned.
My name is Boniface Otieno. I work at Business Daily. Why was it too hard for CALPA to make a decision whether they are going to stop the strike during the meeting? Number two, to what extent was KQ willing to stretch in their negotiations? They've been talking about, they've been saying that they are willing to pay the provident fund But then pilots also need to decide whether that is immediate or they want their deferred salaries to be sorted out from the negotiation. To what extent was KQ willing to stretch?
Thank you very much. On the first question, on why CALPA was not able to give a decision when we sat down, is because they told us they have to go and meet the council and consult, because they could not make the decision on their own. That is why we have let them go out, meet their council, discuss, and get back to us in the next 2 hours. So we allowed them. We are ready to wait for them as they consult. Number two, Kenya Airways management have said they are ready to negotiate on the payments that were deferred. They only need to be given time because they don't have the finance and they don't know whether the exchequer will arrive on time. So again, they need to discuss with Treasury to know whether there is money that is available for them to be bailed out. And from what we hear, they've already been bailed out by the present government. They were given some finance, about 10 billion, about a week ago or two. And we appreciate where KQ has come from. They have many financial challenges. So they have said the deferred payments can only be effected from January 2023 for the Provident Fund. Yes.
Yeah. The point is this: Provident Fund is being paid, like my colleague said, in the presence of also payment of deferred payment. I mean, honoring the promise on deferred payment. So there's an overlap, but there is no fixed position. As long as we ask Kenya Airways, are you willing to sit on the table and agree on how to pay? They say yes. Of course, the concrete proposal is not there yet because this smaller committee to be chaired by the PS, if all goes well as agreed, will now thrash out the issues and the details of how it would look like. But the willingness to sit on the table and find out how to reorganize their resources is there. I don't think the government is willing at the moment, in this circumstance, to put more money to this process. So the Kenya Airways must be able to work within the resources they have to meet its obligation with its employees. But as it stands now, those issues are not conclusive because the committee to be chaired by the PS has to sit down.
Waziri Murkomen, my name is Duncan, I'm with Reuters. You spoke about the need to minimize the disruptions that are already set in. Did the airline talk about any contingency measures that they put in place in case the strike does go ahead?
As you know, as we were optimistic when we met here that we will find a solution. Mm-hmm. The management spent a lot of, the top management of the company was seated here with us the entire afternoon, which is also a show of commitment on their part. And of course now they have to burn the midnight oil to deal with to mitigate the impact. Of course it's a lot of work. I don't know why. I'm very optimistic that in the next 2 hours the pilots will make the right decision because this is their country and that is their company. You know, to start with, they are employees of that company. Mm-hmm. As much as it's a national asset, they are primarily, that is their baby. And I believe that they will not throw away the baby with the bath water. Mm-hmm. That they will not sacrifice the baby for what they are pursuing. They should pursue it, but make sure that the baby stays alive so that it can continue growing and become even more mature. In the current circumstance, you know, the situation that the KQ is dealing with. I think that's enough for now. Let's wait for the decision of our friends, the pilots, in the next 2 hours. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.